G'day there guys, Marky here, and welcome back to another episode of r/relationship advice. Let's go. My husband thinks that I baby-trapped him despite the baby being planned. Please help. My husband, male 35, and I, female 32, have been married for 7 years. He lived next door and we just clicked. It was like a fairy tale. One thing I've always thought made our marriage so strong was our friendship with each other and our trust in one another. Although now my husband seems to think otherwise. Recently, my husband found out that his friend, Jeff, male 34, has been baby-trapped. Basically, Jeff's wife, female 32, stopped taking the pill and fell pregnant a few months into their relationship and only came clean after the wedding. Jeff came from a very conservative family, which his wife knew, and so he felt obligated to marry her after the pregnancy. Unfortunately, he also now feels obligated to stay regardless of the clearly messed up dynamic because he feels that he has made a vow and will stick by his wife and child. My husband, for some reason, has been really rattled by this. I'm currently 4 months pregnant with our first, and my husband asked me yesterday if I was trying to baby trap him. I first laughed because I honestly thought that it was a joke. He was dead serious and doubled down. So I told him that we have already been married for 7 years, and a baby was not going to trap him any more than he already is. My husband did not like that answer and said there was no time limit on baby trapping and that my intentions were clearly not pure given how I was acting as if his concerns were a joke. He said he had trusted me in the past, but me laughing in his face gave him no reason to trust me now. I did not really know what he wanted or how I was meant to respond, and I said we should talk about this in the morning. Today, I woke up and my husband was gone. But I did have a nasty text from his brother, male 28, saying that I had forced my husband into this pregnancy despite it having been a joint decision. My husband is MIA and not responding to calls or texts, and now I'm wondering how on earth to go forward. Any advice is appreciated. In the comments, weird take, but I think he's getting cold feet on the pregnancy, and this is a way to save face. Same, this is his way to get out without him looking like a total asshat for abandoning a pregnant woman. He can't really get out though, that's what makes it so bizarre. The only thing he can get out of is the marriage with divorce. Honestly, OP should just send him and his brother and anyone else this post. He knows it was planned, so I don't know what's going through his head. I'd also text OP's husband that if he's so trapped by the marriage and desperate to hurt her mid-pregnancy, he can get a divorce, but he knows as well as she does that they had a good relationship and planned a baby together, so either he confesses what's made him go so loopy and mental over it suddenly, or he gets out of her life bar whatever visitations a court tells him he is allowed. She should also message his pal who was really baby-trapped and explain the situation and ask that friend to go talk to him, because he obviously has gotten in the husband's head. If they actually had a good relationship and he really did want a kid, I imagine that will be a shock because right now she's probably begging and doing the opposite to get him to come back. If he doesn't, I almost feel like he's done something bad on his side that warrants the overreaction out of the blue and has just taken this idea from his friend's situation. The amount of stress sitting and alone and pregnant with no idea what your husband is doing or why, or if he will even come back, must be awful. Sounds like his friend was talking into your husband's ear. Like, it happened to him, it has to be happening to husband too. Misery loves company. His friend would hate to have a friend who is actually happy in their relationship and has a planned pregnancy to the point that he's trying to make OP's husband believe he's in the same situation. And it was fine for 4 months, but suddenly he's not happy and it's a trap. Has he always been a moron, or is this new? I'd ask if he's cheating or something if he hasn't always been this stupid, because there is something shady in his behavior. Just said this above, but after spending far too much of my time on Reddit, the one thing I've learned is that if someone has a weird overreaction like this, he's cheating. I was thinking his weird reaction showed he's spent too much time on Reddit. Some of the subs think all women are out there poking holes in condoms, trying to snare mediocre men into marriage. And now on to the update. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to post an update here again, but I wanted to quickly update everyone who was kind enough to give me some advice. I didn't respond to anyone because my post was locked quite quickly, but I've read every single comment and message, and I'm very grateful. I realized while I was reading the comments that everyone was right. I wasn't angry enough. My husband had insulted me and our marriage in a very hurtful way, and it just didn't really register for a while. I was so confused and upset that it didn't occur to me to be angry, but I think everything just needed to sink in. In the meantime, I called my best friend, female 31, who has been such a rock in my life. She came over with some chocolate and was furious when she heard. She called her husband to the house after I had gotten everything out of my system. He's a family lawyer, and he said that he would happily represent me if I wanted to go through with a divorce. This man is a saint and will draw up divorce papers on Monday. My mother-in-law showed up with my husband in the car not long after my best friend's husband arrived, and she practically dragged him to the door. My mother-in-law said that he had showed up to theirs late last night, saying that he was certain that I was using the baby to trap him. Fortunately, my mother-in-law is a smart woman and absolutely tore him a new one before dragging him to the house today to apologize. My worm of a husband did not look me in the eyes the entire time, but said that he was scared about becoming a dad and projected his fears onto me. He said he wasn't sure if he was ready for that kind of commitment, but he will step up, as if he's some kind of hero. Ugh, eye roll. I called him a coward and told him that he should stay with his parents until I'm ready to talk to him. I didn't want to say anything about the divorce papers because I didn't know what his reaction would be, but he will find out soon enough. I also showed my mother-in-law the texts from my brother-in-law, and her face was like a storm cloud. I don't know what will happen there, but I am sure it will be bad. For now, I am exhausted and just want to curl up and cry. My best friend said that she'll spend the night with me and we can watch silly movies. I've also made an appointment with a therapist for the next week, but for now, I just need to rest. I am exhausted and devastated that my marriage has come crumbling down. Sorry for the sad ending, everyone. In the comments, props to your mother-in-law for telling off her son. If this does go to divorce, stay in contact with her if you can. Having an ally and a grandparent is very helpful. It's so refreshing to see a mother-in-law standing up for the right thing instead of coddling and supporting her son when he's running away from his responsibilities and hurting his wife. That was beautiful. I can easily imagine her fury when she found out why he ran away. He might be a grown man, at least on paper, but she still yelled at him like he was 5, using his full name and all, that's for sure. And I would have loved to see her drag him by the ear to the car and then out of the car while mumbling angrily about how disappointed she is in him. He most definitely also got the stare that only a mum can give her kid when she's embarrassed about how they've been behaving. Once he sees those divorce papers, there will be no doubt in his mind you definitely don't want to baby trap him. Doesn't make sense. Gets married, then accuses significant other of entrapment? The fuck? Some people view marriage as a temporary thing from the get-go. It almost makes me wonder if he was planning on leaving. So rough of her to baby trap him with a divorce like that. Wow, imagine just ruining your entire marriage like that. I do not have the words. Imagine his buddy who hears his friend sabotaged his entire marriage because of what the buddy endured. He'd likely be confused, as OP's husband agreed to have a baby. And imagine being any future girlfriend who hears that story. I'd go running for the hills. So he not only blew up this relationship, but basically damned every other relationship he might have from here on out. And even if he tries to hide it, his mum won't.